My name is Esben Skouboe, and I represent Studio Oasis today. I have a presentation prepared, so I'll just see if I can change it. A couple of slides to help. See here. But now I can't see you. I hope you can see this. So
Yes, we can see.
yeah, you can see it. Today, I would like to speak about sensory birth space, but more importantly, about how space can support dignity, equality, and meaningful experiences in birth. Yesterday, I reread Hartmut Rosa's book, The Uncontrollability of the World. I don't know if you might know it. So, but I think it would be an interesting perspective for today's presentation. And I have scripted the presentation, so it will sit on approximately 15 minutes. Birth is one of the most profound human experiences. It is physical, emotional, vulnerable, and it's deeply personal. The image you see in the middle is Olivia. This is 10 years ago now. This was one of the greatest moments of our life. Here we made a deep relationship between my wife and me with the midwife and the space. Yes, I kind of remember everything there, the smell, the light, everything. I also remember the stainless steel rolling tables and the pipes from the wall and the white glazed tiles. It should be efficient and safe. But most importantly, I remember the first time I saw Olivia, and of course, the tired eyes and proud eyes, and the smile from my wife, who just delivered something she didn't know what was before. As a contrast to this poetic, vulnerable birth often takes place inside systems designed around control. Protocols, everything is timed. Efficiency, standardization, risk management, and I could continue. Of course, control is important. Safety is important. But birth also contains something that cannot be fully controlled. Timing. No one knows exactly when. It's kind of a mystery, and it's inconvenient to the system of control. Pain, like never before, rhythms, strong emotions, deep relationships, transformations of the body and the psyche. This particular moment is a moment that belongs to the memories and the strongest memories of your life. The challenge is, how do we create environments where both safety and uncertainty can coexist? Where, and this is without alienating us from the beauty of the birth. I have been inspired by the German thinker Hartmut Rosa, and his reflection on our modern life. He describes how many systems try to make the world fully available, predictable, and controllable. It's our desire to make it controllable. But meaning in the life often comes uh, from what he calls resonance. Resonance is when the world responds to us, when we feel connected to the world, when something touches us and the thing changes us. Birth is exactly such a moment. It cannot be reduced to a procedure alone. So if a birth environment only communicates control, then many people may feel disconnected from their own experience and from their own memories. When we discuss equality in maternity care, we often speak about access, policy, and outcomes. These are important, but there is another level. How does the environment meet the person? many people enter generic health spaces and do not feel represented. The, the room may feel cold, the atmosphere may feel institutional, the aesthetics may reflect one cultural norm only, and the technology may dominate the human experience. So even inside a system designed to help, some people feel like strangers. Equality is not giving everyone the same room, a neutral room, but equality is creating a possibility for different people to feel safe, seen, and empowered. This particular image is from a delivery room in Aalborg where stillbirth is practiced. At Studio Poesis, we explore how art, technology, and sensory design can support care environments. We work with the idea that room is never neutral. Every room communicates something. It can communicate stress or calm, hierarchy or participation, distance or connection, passivity or agency. The birth space, in birth, this matters enormously. A sensory birth room may include responsive lighting and carefully crafted scenes, calming sounds from the local nature, tactile and warm materials, reduce clinical visual noise, options for personal control, which is really important, and responsive technologies that support rather than dominate the experience. The key is not luxury. It's very important. The key is agency, that you can control the environment. Can the birthing person and their partner shape the environment? Can the room support different needs, cultures, rhythms, and emotional states? And can the space listen rather than instruct? These are images from a public hospital in Denmark, realized together with private foundations. And yeah, there's you can read about the particular setup in at our webpage. I'll not go into the details here, other than that the systems meet the families in different times. So if they come in the night, they will come to the moon, and the lighting would be sitting just right, and the furnitures would be somewhat like this. And if you come in the daytime, the mood will be crafted uh, towards welcoming the family. And afterwards, on the tablet, the family can choose between different crafted moods that is recorded from the local neighborhood. This is a map from the northern part of Denmark, and um, we have developed a methodology where we record or we interview 40 different local families and kind of map out which type of experiences that they feel resonance with them and making them calm in the local nature. And then we go with nature photographers, and we visit these sites and try to chase the moods and record the atmospheres and move and kind of move them into the birth spaces. That's the idea, such that we can trigger these deep memories inside the woman and the husband, in order to kind of stimulate the feeling of belonging and calmness. Some of them might be relaxing, some of them might be boosting rhythms and supporting rhythms and pain management. In this case, it's the west coast of Denmark. And a composer has, based on the recordings, developed these soundscapes that kind of help navigate the pain in the frequency. So, but the birth is much more than just a baby. It's also something where a family becomes a part of a bigger community. In this case, we worked together with a local theater group to craft a birth ritual. So the midwife triggers a secret button on the birth room when the child is successfully delivered. And on the walls that will come up the image below, and families in the local neighborhood, they will all raise the flags for this newborn, and afterwards they will fly with the kites in the dunes to celebrate this new life and welcoming them to the community. People with confidence, language skills, familiarity with institution, and strong advocacy often navigate systems better. We know that. Others may feel overwhelmed, unheard, or powerless. Spatial design can either reinforce this imbalance or it can soften it. A well-designed birth room will reduce anxiety, support communication, create choice without demanding energy, restore dignity, help people feel present in their own birth. This is not a superficial matter. It's a part of equitable care. So rather than designing decoration, we design relations between body, space, and care. Control and resonance must coexist. We do not need less safety. We need a better balance. We need systems that provide clinical excellence and human resources. We need protocols and personal meaning. We need technology and atmosphere, and we need control and the wisdom to make spaces for what cannot be controlled. If we want more equal births, we should not only redesign processes and procedures, we should redesign how the world meets the birthing family, because safety protects life, but resonance gives experience, dignity, and meaning. Thank you. Thank you. Can I stop this?
Yes, thank you so much.
So just recently, 2 papers has been published in sexual and reproductive healthcare, kind of investigating some of these particular cases. You can find references on Poesis homepage. There's a reference, and pop me a mail if you have some exciting perspectives. So thank you.
Thank you, Esben. We'll now pass it on to Anka for her presentation.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Just gonna put a timer here. What did I have an eye? Okay. So thank you so much for the presenting my person beforehand, Tamar, and thank you so much, Saraswati, for this invitation here to this seminar. I will try to condense the work of the past 10 years into 15 minutes. And especially because we're talking about 2 quite complex phenomena. One is birth and the other one is architecture. and we're trying to combine them to make a synthesis. So I prepared 6 projects, 6 architectural design projects that I'm going to click through and talk about, as well as some side dishes that will weave part of my personal life story together. And I'd like to start with the first one here, which is called 57 plus 3. These are the weeks that I was pregnant with this project. It's my master thesis in architecture, and it's been 10 years since I left architecture school. So this was the first birth center I ever designed, and you can see one of the first drawings that I did. It's a midwifery-led birth center, and here you can see the ground floor and the basement of this birth center. So it consists of 2 birthing rooms and a separate room for checkups. It has an archive. There's therapy rooms. There's group rooms. There's where the entrance is a reception, and you'll have some space for collective and meals and so on. And then you go more to inside. You'll pass the midwifery hub, and then there's some postpartum rooms on the first floor. So you'll have the birthing part on the ground floor, and then after birth, you'll meet the lighter. You step up 1 floor to recover. And on the right hand, you can see my great-great-grandmother, Rosa. She's my idol and inspiration, and she's part of this journey because I feel when I was designing this birth center in my mid-20s, she was present with her energy guiding me, because it was that moment in my life or in my career where I had to make a decision, and I decided not to continue the career as an architect, but become a midwife. So actually this project would lead me towards the path of midwifery. I didn't know back then that I would also continue with architecture, but yeah, you'll see on the next slides. So this is me presenting this project. I'm the first woman in history, actually person in history of this architecture university to present something about birth spaces. So no one ever in the history of architecture, especially in this university, but in general, one could say, would have thought of how to design birth spaces, especially because birth was for a very long time would take place in the intimacy of one's home, and then later in the mid-20th century, in the mid of the 20th century, it would be transferred more into hospital spaces, which were obviously not especially designed for birth, but more for a medical process led by doctors who would take, as Esben already pointed out, who would control this process. So no one would actually investigate on physiological birth and what it would need, what women would need to give birth in spaces so that they could open, so that they could relax, that they could really dive into this process. I'll just click through here. This is me doing the design process. So this is, I'm designing rammed earth birthing cones, which will later on in my work also influence the first building projects. And again, like the postpartum unit above and below, there's the birthing connected to the earth and grounded. This is one of the side dishes that I already mentioned. So parallel to my thesis, I'm co-founding the Birth Culture A to Z initiative. We're a group of professionals around birth, and we're trying to raise awareness for the importance of life's beginning at the heart of society in Austria. And we're doing bottom-up and top-down events for people. And we've been doing this work for the past 10 years. And this is also another side dish. So out of this initiative grows my first job. I'm co-curating the exhibition Birth Culture, Giving Birth and Being Born in Women's Museum in Austria. You can see the outcome of this curation. The design is by Sabrina Summer, collaborator and friend of mine, and we exhibit more than 300 objects. And part of this exhibition is also the first building project. It's called Room for Birth and Senses, and we were a design team. So it's Anna Heringer, Martin Rauch, and Sabrina Summer involved. And we're designing this birthing room prototype. You can see the shape of it is like a little bit. It reminds of the birthing cones that I designed in my thesis. So this was kind of an adaptation of one of those cones, and we try to state that the materiality and the haptics, so light, smell, the touch, have an influence on birth and the physiology of birth and the nervous system especially, so that architecture really has an effect on one's perception during birth. And it also it consists of two components, the space. So one is the birth capsule, and the other one is a medicinal herbal garden with medicinal plants about birth and pregnancy and postpartum. So you can sit around the fireplace, and inside there's the birth happening, where we invite women to take an active role and an active part, and to sit or kneel, or there's no real or normal furniture, no bed, but there is, of course, a place where you can lie down, and it's even heated, so it's a warm surface. And we built it over 3 months together with volunteers. And it's then put together on site. It was transported and put on site. And you can see us imagining some details of how one would move in the space, which position would one take, where's the midwife, where's the woman giving birth. And at the end, it's all covered with wooden shingles. So the whole project is made from sustainable natural materials. It's lightweight adobe bricks and wood, and that's actually it. So there's some color red pigment on it, and then it's with linen oil covered, the shingles. And this is inside, so you can see the clay and also the lime. So it's an old Moroccan technique called tadalakt. So the surface is antiviral and fungal. So yes, I don't know the word in English. I'm sorry. That's the design team. So some more side dishes. This was the design class that I taught at TU Vienna, and some students' projects in the aftermath. So after this Room for Birth and Senses was constructed. In the meantime, I'm finishing my midwifery studies. So the whole construction project and all of this work was parallel to my studies. And I'm writing about the interrelations of birth and space, which is kind of the combination of both professions coming together now, finally having studied midwifery and the physiology of birth. I feel able to talk about, and I'm studying more than 100, all of the studies that are available. I'm reading them and digesting them, trying to put them into an order to organize them. So I'm coming up with this ABC model, which I think until now is still valid and important. So if one wants to design birth spaces, I feel one has to take into account, first of all, of course, architecture. So you have this whole profession of architecture, and you're talking about material and immaterial aspects of it. So it's about the infrastructure, but also about perception and how materiality provides or does not provide. And then it's about birth, to understand how the physiology of birth works, so that we won't that we use gravity, for example, so that we use the light to create protection, shield, or intimacy for the birth, so the whole scenery. And then it's about reflecting on culture and context, so norms, values, and beliefs, the whole context that and the environment that we design in. So is it a hospital? Is it a midwife led birth center, or somewhere in nature, to take everything into consideration, and also the power dynamics that come with those different contexts. I don't want you to have a look at all the calls for action here. I just want to point at one sentence to the left, which says integrity of birth environments, design on all three layers. And I'm going to switch back. So the integrity that I'm talking about, for example, when I start to design something for birth, I want to take responsibility for what I'm doing as an architect. So I'll start thinking about the sustainability of what I'm doing and about our planet. So I'm trying to build with natural materials because of different aspects. Obviously, one is the nervous system, but the other one is our planet. Then, which is kind of, this means integrity to me. Then I'll start to think about the integrity of birth. And yes, there is, of course, I'll think I'm a midwife. Of course, I'll design for safety and for the case X, Y, Z in which something happens. But at the center and the core of it is the physiology of birth. So I try to design spaces that are especially made for the physiology of birth and that will allow undisturbed, and that's the least, that it will allow undisturbed birth, and then that it will even support birth, the space itself. Yeah, and then of course, one thing that I would long for is integrity in terms of culture and context, so that one can identify with the space that is there and live one's own identity and express it, and also become part of it. So to make this room yours, to have ownership, and to be in power, in charge in this room, in this space that's happening. Another side dish. So this is I'm starting to work with the Global Birth Environment Design Network, which is a worldwide network of professionals and researchers interested in better birth environment design and working on transformational change in birth environment design. So I'm doing case studies with them. Well, I did. So this is in the past. This is me after finishing my studies in midwifery. I do 12 over 2 years, the period of 2 years, I traveled to different places all over the world, and I do 12 case studies where we visit positive exemplars of birth spaces all over the world, and especially architecturally interesting, of course. So me and my colleagues here visiting Esben's place in Denmark, and you can see us having great fun, but also a lot of work in the evenings and after hours. And I also work as a home birth midwife after my studies. So you can see me and my colleague in this surrounding that we work in. Yes, so talking about integrity again. So project number 4, in 2024, I was called to do a salutogenic birth pavilion for a Swiss pilot project. On this picture, you can see the outcome of the preliminary design for this project. So this is my proposal for an interior of this birth pavilion. Again, it's KEL, it's natural material, it's rammed earth, and it's wood. And here you can see the whole pavilion. It looks like it has this ground floor with the form of a flower. So it would be these reproducible flower petals. So this is a pattern that is reproducible and again sustainable architecture. And this is a birth pavilion for without postpartum. So women come, they have get pregnancy checkups, they give birth, and then they're taken care of at home by their midwives. I'm diving deeper into user-centered design and this user-centered approach. So this is really becomes practical here. And this is the final outcome. You can see in the background the hospital. Exactly. And then project number 5 is a project I'm currently busy with. So this is the design of another salutogenic alone standing birthing room prototype with Monja Krutz together. So this is an expandable concept. So one could have this as a standalone birthing room or make it grow into something bigger, into a birth center. So you have these prefab birth modules for postpartum, pregnancy, birth, and midwives. And then you could design your own. You could order whatever you need for your practice, and then it can be prefabricated and built in a few weeks or even days. Can be built up. So this is the ground floor of the standalone prototype, where you enter. You have a kitchen, a tiny waiting room where you can withdraw and step a bit out, either partner or midwife to give some space. And you have a technical room. You have a toilet and a shower. You have the unit for the baby and space to move, space to use the floor and the bed, and you have the bathtub and fire. So we're playing again with the elements and the natural haptics of water, of reflection of water, of shadows and light, of fire and the sound of fire, even the smell of fire. And we're adapting facades depending on context, and working with handcrafted women, textile art. Oops, one was too fast. So this is, you can see, this is an explosion of it. Again, it's timber frame and a so-called rammed earth arc. We're combining the sensory eco materials and doing tests on hygienic, like the blood on oak floor, and whether it seems clean or it is clean, and the resistance of natural materials who proactively work on organisms instead of plastic, where they just spread. So we found a first. It's not potential anymore. It's our first building site. So we're currently in the fundraising of this project, and we're gonna build there in Austria. And this is the last project, number 6, and I can see also time's almost over. So this is another project I'm currently involved in, and I've been working all day on this project because I'm redesigning parts of the design. This is a project with indigenous midwives in Guatemala. This was part of the case studies that I was doing. I met those indigenous midwives, and they're looking for a space where they can practice their own knowledge in midwifery after their cosmovision. So this is not going to be Western kind of birthing unit, but it will respect their own ancestral knowledge. And we have a site there, and I'm working in very intense contact. So I'm staying there for weeks and months, and then I'm going back and so on. And I designed, they told me about the Nawal Kawok, which is an energy that in their cosmovision is the turtle and is the protector of life and birth. And so I designed a kind of a turtle-shaped birth center for them with 2 birthing rooms and an altar where they do their fire ceremonies, and a temazcal, which is kind of a herbal sauna, and a pharmacy where they dry their herbs and they do balms and soaps and whatever they do, and creams. And this is partly subterranean and partly on the terrace. So and it's with, again, natural building materials such as bamboo, earth, and wood. You can see the Anita. So this one is the wisdom keeper of the family. It's a mother who has 5 daughters, and all of the 5 daughters are midwives as well. So the mother as well. And to finish off, I would like to mention the Toronto conference that took place in October 2025, where researchers and experts from all around the world met for the first time at this global colloquium to talk about birth space, and they brought all of their expertise. This is also where I met for the first time personally Saraswati. And it was an amazing, wonderful, inspiring, motivating event. And yeah, we're looking forward to much more of those. And we're currently moving to something called the First Room, where we as a network come together and work on this topic as a collective. Thank you so much.